about motherhood. 1 minute, you're mom of the year.
I love you, Mommy.
Then the next, not so much. From bath time to bullying, from potty training to puberty, parenting is full of challenges. But one thing is for certain, you are not alone. Welcome to Modern Mom Probs. I'm your host, author, mother, parenting expert, Tara Clark. Join me while we tackle today's modern mom problems. I am so excited to have the two of you here. We are going to talk about all things play and obviously your new book. But before we get started and jumping into that, I just was wondering if you could take 2 seconds to introduce yourselves. And Kathy, I'm going to start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the work that you do.
Well, I'm Kathy Hirsch-Pasek. I'm a developmental psychologist at Temple University. I'm a senior policy person at the Brookings Institution. And how did I get into this? When I was 13, I was actually asked to babysit at the local community center. I fell in love with kids. And I thought there has to be a world out there where you can do stuff with kids for the rest of your life and play. And so as I grew up, I kept looking for that job. And there were two other really important things for me. I knew I needed to wake up late, and I knew I needed to be able to wear jeans to work every day. So how do you find that combo? And it turned out to be a professor. So here I am.
That's incredible. Sign me up for both of those. Check and check.
Right.
I love that. How about you, Roberta?
So I'm a professor at the University of Delaware in Newark, Delaware, and I love what I do. And it's because kids are amazing. So I can get caught up watching on my phone these vignettes with kids. One of the ones I recently saw was a mother had twins, and the older one came in to look at the twins and said, "Which one is ours?" So it's just remarkable to me, the kinds of things that kids say, and they just come out and say it, like, "Get rid of him. Who needs him? Why'd you get this?" There are a lot of those on my phone coming to me, and I just crack up every time. But kids are fantastic.
They really
say
are.
What they think, they say what they mean, and with training and age and getting used to the culture, that gets dampened down. So the people who can continue to think like kids are very rare indeed.
Yes, they really are. I obviously write a lot about children or stories that children have said or things that my son has said to me. And you would not believe how many times I share a story that or a dialogue that my son and I have had. And then people will respond back, "Oh, there's no way that that's true. There's no way a child said that." And every single word was true. And I think it's to your point, Roberta, that those adults that are commenting on those stories, they lack the imagination, or they forget what children are like, or maybe they're not parents themselves. And they think like, what do you mean that's not true? That's every word of that is true. Kids are creative and they literally say the darndest things. I think it's folks forget how imaginative and creative children could be.
No, Tara, I have to tell you, I just had a conversation with a 5 and a 3-year-old. And I said to them, it was by Zoom, I said, I'm really curious. I'm going to this podcast. What do you think, like, adults should really understand about you? Like, if you were writing a book for adults, what would you say? And they said, we think they really need to understand our feelings and understand what we see.
Yes. When I wrote my book, this was back in 2020, I interviewed my son and he was 7 years old at the time. And we wrote an entire chapter together of the interview. And those were some of the things that he said. He said that they should see us, that they should be more patient with us. Sometimes kids take a little bit longer to do things. They need more transitions. So then recently, 5 years later, I interviewed him again here on this podcast asking him the same questions to see what he was like from a 7-year-old to a 12-year-old. And that's you are experts in childhood development. So that is a very big difference. But his answers were similar.
They're experts.
Yeah, on themselves. But they do change. From 7 to 13, he's become so much more mature and sophisticated by virtue of so many of the experiences that you have provided for him. And he's ready for that adolescence and the next stage in his life, which, as we all know, can be a bit discombobulating. But if you have parents who care and who continue to keep the lines of communication open, that's the key. That's the key. There is no topic off limits, because if you say we can't talk about that at the dinner table, you will have kids who do things they're afraid to tell you about.
That is absolutely true. I take that as a motto. Often I put that in my pocket, and sometimes my son will say some inappropriate words and I sort of cringe when he says them, but I let him talk about it because I don't want it to be a situation like you mentioned there, Roberta. So, right. What's interesting, Kathy, to your point, you said about babysitting at 13. I used to babysit all the time. I loved babysitting. It was my favorite thing to do. And when I was babysitting in the 1990s, there was a very popular video out. And it was called Baby Einstein.
Oh my gosh, Baby Einstein, my Lord.
And all of the parents that I babysat for, and it was several different parents, and they were well-meaning parents. They were well-meaning parents, plopped their small children and their toddlers in front of these Baby Einstein videos to try to make them smarter. Yeah. So I'm using that as a segue to talk about your new book, Einstein Never Used Flashcards.
You will not find us recommending Einstein videos in Einstein Never Used Flashcards. And I don't know I should probably say what it was about. Einstein videos were about supposedly teaching children language and about the world, and they would show kids trees, and as we would say, take them out, show them a tree. And it turned out that Einstein had to give money back because they were sued for the claims that they were making about the kinds of things that kids could learn. But this comes out of the more general concern with developing children's brains and with us being the sculptor of children's brains, which is not true.
Oh, yeah, I just add to that to say, we don't realize is that babies, like little babies, when they first come out, there's so much to learn. They have to learn where the corners of walls are. They have to learn that you can't magically walk through a wall. Well, they can't walk, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
They have to learn that things that are up, if you throw them up, they come down. So there's all this stuff that we don't even think of that are basics, like baby basics. And the brain comes prepared to learn them. And yet we have created parent frenzy. I've never seen anything like this.
Yes.
Maybe we should have the term, the generation of the overwhelmed parent, because what we are doing is insane. I just have to give you one example. I went stroller shopping with my kid. They just had a baby. The baby is 10 weeks old. Okay. I thought I was going to die during my stroller shopping. There were at least 40 strollers to look at. Now, best I could tell, every one of them got you from point A to point B. But there were fat tires, thin tires. There were, will it go through the snow? Will it go on sand? I mean, gee, parents, it's okay. Take a breather. And last thing I'll mention on this, I realized that there are close to 100 baby tracking apps. They track everything. I mean, right? It tracks how much food goes in, how much food comes out that you're cleaning up. How much sleep did we get last night? Is there a trend? Can we draw a curve? Oh my gosh, parenting in that kind of situation will drive you crazy. So as Roberta's saying, just go out, they'll see real trees. And we're not, old-fashioned. We are grandmothers, but we're not old-fashioned. It's just that if you know the developmental science, There's magic in there. And our book, Einstein Never Used Flashcards, it's about exposing the magic in the moment so that you'll feel a little less calm and find more joyful parenting.
So this is exactly what we're about. We want parents to recognize, I think they do, that this is like the hardest job in the world, but underneath what is the hardest job in the world are things that parents can do with their kids that are not only good for the kids, but good for them and stress reducers for them. Now, why are parents feeling so rushed and so fatigued? I think the marketplace has really taken advantage of parents. I think they convey that faster is better. And if you can get a kid to learn their alphabet when they're 2, it's better than when they're 3 or 4. In fact, that is not true because children rapidly catch up when they're ready to learn what it is you're going out of your way to teach them. Now, we're not saying don't try to teach your kid the alphabet. What a terrible thing. Not at all. But people actually spend a lot of money on this kind of thing. And now there are lots of video apps and things present. Kids will learn when they're ready. That's why we have kids being expelled from preschool, because we have made the preschool too worky and not enough play.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you know, Tara, and my nephew's in a preschool program, 5. Do you know that there are 3 kids in the 5-year-old program that have one-on-ones?
Really?
You have to explain it, Kath.
I mean, do they really need a person there following them at every moment? I mean, I would go crazy, right? I would go crazy.
Yeah.
So we just need, and we just did a study, by the way, where we looked at 43 classrooms, and we went in, it's kindergarten, 1st grade. How much of the time do you think they're sitting?
Too much. Okay? Far too much.
Yeah.
Sitting. This is preschool and kindergarten. These are 4 and 5-year-olds, 50% of the time. Another 26% of the time, they're lining up to go to the bathroom or lining up to go outside. Kids can't handle it. They can't handle CEO teachers, and they can't handle CEO moms. We have to give them a break.
And we have to give ourselves a break, Tara, right?
Yeah.
That's absolutely true.
Tara, that it's not easy to be a good parent, but it sounds like you are a parent who really appreciates the stuff that you learn from hanging out with your kid. And what we do in Einstein Never Used Flashcards is we help parents see there's magic in those moments. And if you can attune yourself to what could happen with a visit to an everyday place like the supermarket, oh my God, there's so much for your kid to learn. You don't have to take out books on vegetables and study the names of rutabaga and eggplant. Go to the supermarket and walk around and follow your kid's interest and tell the kid, look, this is an eggplant. It's like the only purple vegetable we have. Feel it, right? How long will that take you? I don't care how busy you are. That's like 15 seconds less. So we want to make it fun for you as a parent, as well as help your child learn in the most organic and meaningful way.
Yes, at that age, they're sponges, right? They're soaking up everything. Yeah. I have a funny story for you, and I know you'll appreciate this. When my son was born, we were living in New York City. We lived on the Upper East Side. And so every day we got in the stroller and we walked, and whether we were in Central Park or we were walking down the street, we were just constantly walking, and I was talking and I was explaining things, and I'm showing him buildings and trees and doormen and roads and everything. And my son learned the logos of cars before he learned the alphabet.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's brilliant. Amazing. That's brilliant.
That was his party trick. So one time I remember we went to my uncle's house, and my son must have been, maybe 18 months old. And he could look at a car logo and say, Mazda, BMW, Mercedes. And my uncle got such a kick out of it.
Right?
Pardon?
Your uncle didn't believe it.
He didn't believe it.
Right?
He
Kids
didn't
are
believe it.
amazing. But while taking a walk outside and talking to your kid can be such a pleasure, I'm sorry to tell you that because in today's world, we don't put our phones down. Our kids are hearing a lot less than what you provided, Tara. And our parents are feeling a lot more stressed.
Yeah.
One of the things that we recommend, it's a shocking recommendation, but it's so true, is to put your phone down and enjoy that walk and feel the breeze on your face and follow your child's interests. What are they looking at? And this gives you an opportunity to talk with them. This is how they learn everything, from having these organic, very spontaneous conversations with you.
Yes, and they're soaking all of that up. And
Yes.
I know many parents who don't love sitting on the floor and playing pretend. So my question
exactly.
to both of you is,
Yeah.
how can you encourage play
Yeah.
for the parents who say, I have a bad back. I don't want to sit on the floor. I'm no good at playing pretend. You guys just do it yourselves.
let me give you a couple of examples of what we mean by play. Because it's not, oh my gosh, I have to be the king and queen and princess again. It's not that.
Yeah.
You're walking down the street, the Upper East Side, and you're there with your 5 and 6-year-old. Okay. We play a game. Don't step on a crack. Okay. Goes like this. Don't step on a crack. Don't step on a crack, because it's 1 step forward and 2 steps back if you ever step on a crack. Okay. 1, you get to wherever you're going faster. Okay. Because the kids are all playing don't step on a crack. So that's the kind of stuff that we're talking about. Or how many red cars do you see? How many blue cars do you see? Are there more Mazdas? That kind of stuff is playing. But the kids have memory. They have attention. They're counting as they go in the cracks. They're singing along. We had a game we used to play in when we went to the stores. There were 3 elevators. We would play, which elevator will it be? Which elevator will it be? Then we would go back and forth instead of waiting and doing crazy stuff while you're waiting. They're like, it's 1. No, it'll be 2. Look, it's on floor 6. Okay. That's the kind of games. So I think instead of thinking about this as you need to take a half hour of your time to play with your kid, and then you need to do the next thing with your kid, it's a different mindset. It's a playful mindset. Let me give you just one more example. My kids, I don't know why they did this, but I think a lot of kids do. They would pick their nose. And I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand it. They're picking their nose. It's happening in public. It's not really great. It's really yucky when they then have to go eat their sandwich. There had to be something we could do. So we made a game out of it. It was 7:15, nose picking time. Every night at 7:15, my kids got to pick their nose. Now, I will tell you that it is hard to pick your nose for an entire minute. But that was the challenge at 7:15. Now, instead of having to say, no, don't pick your nose all the time, I would just say, it's not 7:15. And everybody was cool, and we waited till 7:15. So you gamify the everyday.
I love that. I love that. And I wish I had done that with my kid. And I'm glad you said it, because we didn't put that. And Einstein never used flashcards, though we put it in one of other examples. Now, sitting on the floor or sitting on a chair and just describing what your kid is doing is a great joy for your child, because it makes your kid feel like you're into them and you understand them. It doesn't mean you have to do it for 2 hours and leave the dishes in the sink and the laundry in the basket. No, but a little bit of that, and playing make-believe just a little bit to get your kid going. And if you have stuffies and dolls, then they can be incorporated, and slowly you can wander away to do what you need to do. But there are games that we played as kids that you can play with your kids that build executive function. That's the self-regulation stuff that everybody is talking about, because if you send your child to kindergarten, I don't care if it's the Dalton school, if your child hits the child next to them every time they get angry, this child will not be favored, might even be asked to leave. Freeze dance. You put on music, everybody jumps around. You turn off the music, everybody's got to stop, right? Stuff like that builds self-control. I played as a kid, Mother May I was a New York game.
I loved Mother May I.
Me too. And that's an executive function game because you can look it up on the web if you don't know the rules, everybody. You learning self-control. Simon Says, there are actually psychological studies on Simon Says, because for us to be able to not do something unless we hear Simon Says is a classic example of self-regulation. Did you play red light, green light, Tara?
Yes, loved that one too.
So if you can teach your kids these games, it's really fun to do it. It brings back your childhood too.
It does. Those are the... I probably haven't heard those phrases in such a long time. Mother May I and red light, green light. I loved those games. Why aren't we doing more of that?
I know we should. And you know what's cool about them? When you're doing that, it's fun for you.
Yep.
And it relieves the stress in the room. I just have to give you an example just on a Zoom call that I was at with this 3 and 5 year old. So we're having this wonderful call. They're doing art on the other end. And then stuff just went out of control. The mother's trying to tell me something. You know how it is, right? Yes. And the kids in the background, it's like World War III broke out. We don't know what's going on. I said to them, it took me like 2 minutes. I said to them, hey guys, come on over here. I have a game for you. Simple clapping game. All I did is I said, when I clap once, you clap once. When I clap twice, you clap twice. Then I'm going to switch it on you. When I clap once, you clap twice. When I clap twice, you clap once. Could they do it? They were so into the game that they not only calmed down, the war was over, the mother could talk to me, and they said, can we stay on longer?
Oh, that's so sweet.
And actually what Kathy is talking about is done with a dowel rod or a pencil to test children's executive function skills.
Yeah, that's what we use.
And why not do the clapping game so that they're kind of practicing the ability to make those switches? There's so many things that we talk about, and Einstein never used flashcards, that are incorporated in our daily activities, but they require no extra effort or time or stress or agita. You can just do these things as you go along with your kids.
And one more example, if I may. You know, we've been called, really, developmental psychologists don't get a lot of emergencies. I'll start there. And, but we get calls, oh my God, my child, there's a serious problem. I said, okay, what's the problem? So I'm just going to go through 3 quick problems that aren't problems. She says, I go to the store instead of I went to the store. Well, okay. I mean, it turns out that for most past tense in English, you do use ED. I hopped, I jumped. So that's brilliant. They just learned a rule. Look at how smart they are. Let me give you another one. They're counting. But when they count, they go 1, 4, 8, 2, 3. And they're very proud of themselves. And you, wanting to have it perfect, like, oh my God, what just happened here? My kid can't count. What's wrong with my 3-year-old? Okay, well, yes, actually, your kid knows that a different word goes with each object. They're starting to learn what we call one-to-one correspondence. And that has everything to do with later math. Last example, do you ever see these 3-year-olds? They have color terms, but they don't know what the color terms go with. Well, they learn the color terms. How cool is that? They know it goes with something. How cool is that? And they'll sort it out. but you don't need be the arbiter of everything. And
Hey, a
so
lot
if
of
we
guys
can,
don't know color terms at all.
yeah. And, maybe what we need to do is relax a little bit, go with the flow. And in Einstein Never Used Flashcards, we try to say, did you just see that? Did you see the brilliance in your child? And when you see that, it's like looking through a new lens in a magical world. And all of a sudden you get less stress.
Yeah, it's just that little perspective shift.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes. And this business of every moment counts. And I have to teach them this and I have to teach them that and I have to buy this and that was debunked like over 50 years ago. There was a psychologist named Myrtle McGraw who took identical twins. That means same genes, same environment, nothing is different between them. She taught one of each pair of twins something that she really had to work to teach them, like climbing stairs, using a scissors. She didn't teach the other twin. When the other twin grew a little bit more, like in another 6 months, they learned it, boom. And she had to knock herself out to try to get the kids to do that 6 months earlier. So this relates to the bigger point we make in Einstein Never Used Flashcards, which is that, you think when you're pressing for your kid to be able to identify the letters or say the numbers in the correct sequence, that if they don't do it, they'll be at a disadvantage. But it's not true. There are studies that show when kids are ready to learn this stuff, they learn it quickly. Now, of course, there are those children who will have what are called learning disabilities, but they're few and far between. And your average child will just learn it when they're ready to learn it. And that's why we have so many preschool expulsions, because we're forcing not only regimentation and sitting on your can, but we're often forcing children to engage in the prerequisites to reading before they're ready. We have to respect where children are.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It surprises me. I'm sorry to interrupt. I want to hear what you have to say there, Kathy, and then I'll ask my question.
Oh, I was just going to say, we did a fun study in 1990 where we looked at kids who had gone to an academic preschool and kids who went to a play preschool. And we want to see what it was like when they arrived in first grade. And I'm so sorry to tell the parents who spent all this time researching all the academic preschools, but nobody could tell the difference.
That's what I think more people need to hear.
Yes.
Nobody could tell the difference.
Talk about some of the negatives of being in a school that was pressing young children to learn stuff they weren't ready to learn.
Well, I mean, the basic thing that Roberta and I talk about a lot is, let's look at it. Anxiety levels are up in kids.
Yes.
I mean, who ever heard of kid depression? Kid depression is up. We have kids, if you couple what's going on in the world, what we're doing is as parents because we're told to do it, and screen time, it could make you dizzy. And in fact, it is making kids dizzy. They're less social. They're more anxious. They have more mental health problems. We need to address this both for ourselves and for our kids. And I'll just give you one more line because it was so beautiful. Last night, talking to my 10-year-old, I said to her, Ellie, what was the best part of school today? And she said to me, coming home and having an hour off.
Isn't that amazing? It's like the kid has a 40-hour-a-week job.
I know. These kids are working too hard.
Yes.
And it's not helping them. It's not helping them. Look, if you work really hard and at the end of the day, you're going to be a genius and you're more likely to get into Harvard because you went to cooking and then you went to your sport and then you went to ballet. Well, maybe there's a justification, but the sad news is it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Kids aren't programmable like computers are, and parents aren't meant to be CEOs. We're meant to do this hard job while enjoying a little bit of it.
Yes, yes. The late developmental psychologist Sonia Luther did work that I give the students in my class to read. It turns out that children who come from high-income families often have more anxiety and depression than children who come from low-income families. Children from high-income families often spend less time with their parents than the children from low-income families. Now, she did these studies just about the time when the cell phone was coming in. I will bet you $1 million that this problem has only been exacerbated because now everybody is on their device, and that human connection between us and our kids is so crucial. And we're minimizing it even further with the CEO parents who never turn off their cell phones and machines because they feel like their jobs are really important. And I appreciate that. I really do. But there has to be some time you carve out for you and for your family so your kids develop that connection with you.
Yeah. So to piggyback on your idea there, Roberta, so here we are now.
Yeah.
It's going to be 2026. How can we foster these connections with our children?
I'm going to start with something simple, if I may. Take 2 minutes of time. All right. All of us can find 2 minutes of time in our very busy schedule. And watch what your kid's watching and comment on it. Be a part of their world. And I will tell you, as a perfect 4-year-old myself, that if you see the world again through your child's eyes, you're going to beg to have more than 2 minutes a day.
And what we just talked about, if you can, okay, my cell phone travels everywhere I go. Sometimes when I run, I put it in my bra. I mean, I never leave my cell phone, right? If you can think about just during dinner time, getting everybody's phone and especially the parents, into a basket, and everybody turns it off. We need that time at the kitchen table. We need to be able to talk about what happened during the day. We need to be able to talk about how Johnny hit Marina and got kicked out of the school. What is that about? If everybody is on their cell phone, who's going to teach your kids morality? Who's going to teach your kids how to help themselves feel better when they're down? Who's going to teach your kids how to be a good person? And a lot of the stuff that's out there in the marketplace doesn't talk about social development, doesn't talk about how to be a good citizen and a responsible human. It's all about increasing brain power. But as we've written in our other books, like Becoming Brilliant, people aren't going to like you if you don't learn these social skills. You're great at it, Tara. But if people don't learn this, they're not going to get those promotions. They're not going to move up. And this is something else that's very worrisome to me, that we're not giving our children enough of ourselves to learn what is appropriate and what is not appropriate when dealing with people.
That's a conversation we have a lot about at home. My son and I often speak about that. My husband and I try to teach our son that, because that's the intangibles that people aren't talking about anymore.
Oh, we are.
Good.
Well, there's a couple things, that are important. One is, I wanted to mention that just today, the Public Interest Research Group from the United States came out again with the risks of AI toys. You can't substitute. Let me say it again. You cannot substitute real conversations, real humans with AI. So nix it now if you're thinking about buying those toys. The second thing is, a lot of people call those skills Roberta was talking about, the soft skills. They are not. It turns out they're the hard skills.
Yep.
Because when you have social skills, back and forth conversations, you're actually building brain power. You want to know the biggest thing we could tell you about how to build better brains? Have conversations with your kids.
Yeah. And
There's
she's
literature.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Roberta?
I said, and she's not kidding. Tell them about Rachel Romeo's study.
I'm going to.
Good.
Okay.
I want to go take your classes now. I feel like I need to go back to school.
Right. So there's this beautiful study that was looking at baby and mom conversations. All right. This is just back and forth conversations. And it turns out these conversations, even in little guys, okay, predict like your brain structure and your brain connectivity. That's amazing. You're building brains by having conversations. So why is that true? Because as one of our colleagues says, it turns out we have a social brain. That's what our species is. We are fundamentally social. We're not meant to be lonely. We're meant to be together. And play is one way we hang together. I cannot tell you the number of times I've been at a bus stop and I see everybody at the bus stop on their phone.
Yep.
That's not being together. So we need to rethink. And Roberta, what are those 3 R's?
In the book, after we tell you all about your child's development, in fact, sometimes Einstein never used flashcards, we've been told are used in people's classes because it's kind of a primer on how much your kids come into the world knowing. So we ask parents to reflect. Do I really need to take my kid to ballroom dancing classes? Even though that's been offered to me as an option, if I don't do that, will they never get to go to cotillion or whatever that is? I don't know. Reflect. Do I really need to do this? Resist. Think. What would you rather have your kids do? As Kathy just pointed out, give them those 2 hours at home, but not in front of screens. Get art supplies. Now, old newspaper is great. You don't have to spend $1,000 on art supplies, right? Get those chalks that you use on the sidewalk outside. Kids love that. Let them have the time to play. And you'll play a little bit and you'll feel better too. And then recenter. Ask yourself, am I doing what's important for my child and for me? Because I can't be a good parent if I am so stressed that I just blow up every time my child says something. And with the pressures that I really think a lot of it is the marketplace, with the pressures that the marketplace puts on us, I think parents, again, feel like they have to run to prepare their children, and yet their children will become prepared in the nicest, most friendly way if we just have these conversations and talk about what the kid's doing, and it's so much better for us. So we hope Einstein never used flashcards really helps people reflect, resist, and recenter.
I love those 3 R's. I'm going to grab those. I'm going to put them in my pocket right now.
You got it. So I wonder, Tara, if I may also just give you one other example.
Please do.
I don't want people to get the sense that Roberta and I are anti-tech.
Oh, not at all. Not at all.
We use it all the time.
I love my tech.
and I'm not anti-tech for kids either.
Nope.
But when kids are using tech at a level that can be a part-time or full-time job,
yes,
that's when it becomes a problem.
Yes.
But it's important also for little kids, for the 3s and 4s and 5s, that if you're watching television, you're watching YouTube, watch with them. And I wanted to share an example of a play situation that, because I knew enough about Paw Patrol, saved us from a really tough situation.
And an expensive one.
And an expensive one, a very expensive one. All right. So here it is, guys. Why knowing what your kid's watching matters. By the way, that's definitely true when they're a teen, but even for little guys. So we went on a vacation with my grandkids. My granddaughter at the time was, I think, 2 or 3, 2.5, 3. And she got locked in one of the rooms. Now, I should have known from the beginning, bad grandparenting, that when you have those keys, those keys with the little end thing, and they have the hole that looks so cute and quaint, they're not. They're going to get lost. They're going to get reused. They're going to get repurposed. It is not a good scene. But no, I left it in the door of the beautiful vacation spot. So much so did we all, that my granddaughter got locked in. Now, we had a problem.
The key was on her side.
She's on her side.
Yeah.
And outside the room is panicked mother. Take panic to the highest level possible. Okay. Trying to control the situation, aunt. Okay. Father who doesn't know what to do. Uncle who's ready to break in the room. And me, grandma, developmental psychologist. Okay. Now you got the scene. What are we going to do? Talking to kid, making kid panicked. So Ellie on the other side of the room is getting really hyped up. I said, guys, will you give me a minute to try? No, they know better than I do. Kid gets more hyped up. Mother goes into extreme panic mode and can't figure out what to do. Finally, they look at me and go, fine, give it a try. Okay. I go up with a piece of paper. The only piece of paper they had was just, kind of the paper towel that you use in the kitchen. I drew a picture of the key on the paper towel with instructions about how to twist the key. Okay. I sent that under the door. I said, Sky. Ellie goes, Sky here. I said, Jake here. She said, yes. I said, we have 20 minutes to solve an episode of Paw Patrol. Are you ready? Mother thinks I'm crazy. Aunt thinks I've blown my mind. Everyone else watching. Sky, did you get the piece of paper I just sent under the door? I did. Look at it carefully. She looks carefully. Now peer through the hole. Do you see my eye? She goes, yes, see your eye. I said, without poking my eye out, can you please stick the key that you have in the door? Sticks key in door. Now comes the jiggle part. It's the hardest part of the episode. Can you do it? Yes, I can. Jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. Door opens. Sky comes out of door. Crisis averted.
Amazing.
That's why you play.
Yeah.
That's why you co-watch. And that's going into your kids' world.
Yes. That is it, Kathy. You get the Grandmother of the Year award for that. Is incredible.
Great story.
That is incredible. Ladies, you are incredible. I want everyone to read your book. Where can they find it?
It will be available on Amazon. It's coming out this coming month. And we're so
January
excited.
20th. January 20th, it's already available at Penguin Random House. You can just click and there it is, and we will send you the link so you can put that up.
Yes.
And we're excited. And by the way, we want your comments, parents. We want your stories because we know that when you give yourself a break, you're giving your kids a break.
Yep.
And wow, what a much happier life you will have.
Absolutely. I concur 1,000%. Roberta, go ahead.
We would be you are so much fun, Tara Clark.
Oh, thank you.
I would be so happy to continue this another time and talk again because you get it and you ask great questions. And it's so important that we take care of ourselves and take care of our kids at the same time, but not be so swayed by the marketplace and by what the Joneses are doing next door that we think, oh my God, my child can't read yet and he's 4. No. please relax.
Exactly. I think that's a great way to end it. Please relax, parents. Go easier on yourselves. Ladies, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Modern Mom Probs. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive in today's problem with me, your host, Tara Clark. Join me next time when I'll be interviewing another great guest and tackling another modern mom problem. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review and a rating. As always, you could head over to Modern Mom Probs on Instagram and give me a follow, or check out my book, Modern Mom Probs, A Survival Guide for 21st Century Mothers, available online wherever books are sold. Well, that's it for today. See you next time, folks.